Keep looking for that statement, John.
Yeah, who's next door to? Yeah, good job. Okay.
It's making a strange noise.
Sounds like somebody blowing in a mic.
Maybe, I think someone might be breathing in. It's coming from the sound.
Maybe somebody doesn't have their mic muted.
This is Tony. I'll keep my mic muted and my video off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. John. It's in the first packet. And it's in Max, and it says the assessment does not reflect fair market value. And it looks sideways like this.
Martha.
Yeah. See fair market value.
Okay, this is the Board of Equalization meeting, March 10th, 2021, 7 p.m. First order of business is to elect the chairman and vice chair. Do I have a motion?
Motion for Martha for chair.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
Okay, how about vice chair?
I would move to have John Strausser be our vice chair.
Okay. Okay, approval of the minutes of June 24, 2020.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Can I have a vote on the motion?
Aye.
I
Abstain.
Aye.
That was
Okay.
Mac,
Tony.
Miss Tony, okay.
Okay, the first case to be heard is Amin Bashu and Haiti Mazawad, 9178 Matthew Drive. I will turn that over to you at this time.
Mr. Amin, are you there?
I'm here, yeah. Can you hear me?
We're ready for you,
Ready?
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to note that I received the city assessor's statement and comparables that he prepared only 5 days ago, which are definitely not enough to prepare anything to discuss or review what he sent me, because it wasn't even sent by mail. It was left on my porch in front of the house. So the first motion here from me is to postpone this for 3 months, during which the city would suspend all taxes payments until I review this, because the city assessor's office had the application from last April. Board of Equalization had my application from August, and I only given 5 days, during which was a weekend, and during which I was working to prepare for this meeting, which is not enough.
Sir, the board does not have the authority to suspend any taxes.
Do we have any comments from Mac, our assessor?
Yeah, Mr. Amin got his board package the same time as the Board of Equalization members received theirs. On Friday, this past, well, I don't know what day it was. And it was this past Friday, and, you know, we thought it would be more judicious to drop the packages off just like the board members' packages. I think in the past we've had the towns come in and have to pick up their packages. We thought with the present ongoing pandemic, we didn't want to expose anybody to that. So it was better just to drop it off at the individual property owners' residence, which we did.
I appreciate that, Mac, and especially with the mail service the way it is these days too. We certainly can't depend on that in a timely manner anymore.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
To clarify the payments that Mr. Amin is mentioning. By state code, there's no authority anywhere within the city of Manassas Park to suspend real estate taxes on any kind of, pending review or appeal or circuit court. If anything's even before the circuit court and can go on for years, the taxpayer is required to make all the payments. And I just wanted to clarify that.
I say it's on the notice too.
Well, it's on the notice and it's on the appeal forms, and it's written everywhere. But I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that it wasn't our decision or the board's decision.
I'm not really sure how we can proceed then. We possibly, and I need comments from the rest of the committee and from Mac, if we could postpone and give Mr. Ahmed a 1 month delay. I don't know how that would work. I mean, if we gave it to him, then we have to consider other applicants the same consideration. So I would like comments from the rest of the panel.
I mean, everybody else got their packages, that's the thing. We've been doing this for years,
Yeah, but we didn't have to do anything.
so. Well, no,
How
I
do
mean,
you all feel? So,
I don't know if we can vote on it.
Well, I got the packages too on my doorstep, and I had to read them all.
So, Tony?
yeah. Mr. Ahmed, would you make any changes you think from your original application?
Yes, I would make it, I would at least prepare for this meeting. Right now, I'm not fully prepared. I can move on if you want me to. If you take in consideration that I only received it 5 days ago, somebody just mentioned before I start talking now is that they received their package too. I'm not sure he didn't, I'm not sure who he is, but he hasn't mentioned when did he get his package. The Board of Equalization should be fair when it comes to the time given to each party, considering the other party's statement. My application is the same application the board was received by the assessor's office since last April. That's 10 months ago. I have only given 5 days to review the assessor's statement and comparables to go through it. I don't think that's enough, especially there's a weekend during these 5 days. I'm a healthcare provider, so I'm required to work during weekends as usual. And some of these weekends, I close where I work at 12 midnight. So I was not given enough time by any chance. I don't think the Board of Equalization would consider that fair, but it's for you to judge.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Ahmed. If you'll look at the screen, I'm going to raise my hand so that you'll see who's talking. I'm way over here. Where am I? You see me? Okay. It's a very unique situation, but I am going to propose as the chairperson that we delay your comments and we come back in 1 month if that gives the city clerk sufficient time to advertise, because she'll have to advertise another meeting in order for that to happen. Is any comments on that, folks?
No more than 1 month.
That would make us come back about, what is today, is the 10th, it would be around the 12th, I don't have a calendar in front of me, of April. The week of the 10th of April. That would that be sufficient time, Mr. Ahmed?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we need to vote on that?
That's second.
Mac, you're giving me I think that was a smile. Are we?
Yeah, it's the board's decision. I would just caution that it sets a dangerous precedent. That the board can do what they want. We've had commercial property owners request the same thing, and the slippery slope is they wait and see what the opposition is going to do, what the speaker's going to do, and then they ask for a postponement. So, it's certainly the board's decision. They can certainly postpone it, or they can go ahead with it. Doesn't. It's okay.
Like I
I
said,
would like to clarify one thing if we could. Typically, the board does not allow any additional information submitted by either the appellant or the city assessor after the initial filing. Certainly, Mr. Amin can verbalize his concerns and respond to anything that he sees in the package that the assessor has that we've given to him, but he can't submit additional information, in written form in advance. And I just want to make sure that the board is clear with that. Both we can't submit anything and he can't submit anything additionally prior to the hearing. It'll just be a hearing with what the comments are. If that's
I appreciate that.
I think that's a good point, because it could go on and on. If you submit additional information, then we would have to respond to it also, which we're certainly prepared to do verbally, and so that's what would have to happen.
So I'd say,
Any comments from the table here?
go ahead.
Who was that?
If you excuse me, I'm willing to move on, but I was not given enough time to study the assessor's statement here. The city assessor. If the board is willing to dismiss all the assessor's statement, dismiss it out of this meeting, and I'm ready to move on only with my application. But considering if you're willing, if you're going to discuss what's in the city assessors, I'm totally not unprepared for this.
I think with all the comments now that have been told, especially the comments from the assessor's office, we would be setting a precedent, and it would be hard to carry through with other applicants. So I would propose that this time we just go ahead with your
case.
Your original application, Mr. Ahmed, tonight, and we'll work from there.
So, in other words, we're totally dismissing what the city assessor submitted to me and to the board. Dismissing it. I'm not going to open it.
No, we're going to have your meeting.
No, you're going to go ahead and present as though, just like you would normally at the appeal. And to make it,
Right.
to make you feel better, I picked up my package Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I didn't have any more time than you did to go through it.
We got others to do.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. If, as you mentioned, the board is not going to go ahead and mention anything from the assessor's statement, and will dismiss it totally.
No.
I can move on.
Excuse me, sir. You'll make your presentation, and then Mac will respond.
And then you respond.
But if his presentation is out of his statement, then I'm fully not prepared to respond to him too.
You have not even looked at his comments?
I had no time, ma'am. 5 days. If he's given 10 months, I'm only given 5 days, and during which it's not even 5 days to me. It's a few hours during which I sleep and eat and go to work. I don't think 5 days is enough, man.
I don't see any other way to go but to go ahead with it tonight.
In that case, yes, what I'm saying is I can move on if the meeting and the board and chair is willing to dismiss totally the assessor's statement, because I haven't looked at it.
No, if we listen to you, then we have to listen to him also.
Okay, go ahead and listen to him.
But you got to present your case.
How do I present it if I'm not? If this is a court and I'm the defense, I was not given enough time to study my opponent's statement.
Just give him 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think.
You know,
The city and the board was given enough time in months, and I was only given less than 5 days.
Do you have a calendar?
let me just interject something. You know, we're at a place where people are just starting, digging their heels. And I think, if the board wants to, I don't know, anybody could go through my submission, which is on 1 page, and some other comps. If you want to have 2 weeks, I don't care about that. That's fine. I think that's ample time to go through a 1-page presentation and a table, of comps.
I think I have a suggestion too. This may help. What if Mr. Amin was to present his case as his case was, and Mac was to present his case, the assessor's case, the way he presented it, and then the board then stopped the hearing, and Mr. Amin could hear what, the city's comments, and then come back and reconvene in a few weeks. Have Mr. Amin could have time to make comments, and the city could have time to make comments, but you wouldn't have the entire case to hear in 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know if that makes any difference or it's too disjointed at that point.
Yes.
Mac thinks it's too disjointed.
That would mean, ma'am, you're giving me the right to appeal, in other words. Tonight's decision, if it's not in favor, that means you're giving me the right to appeal.
Right to appeal. We haven't done
I'm
the
not
case.
sure.
Everybody has the right to appeal.
Well, yeah, but we haven't presented the case yet.
So Cindy, what you're saying is go ahead and listen to everything tonight as we normally would, then give Mr. Ahmed until possibly the 14th of April. That's actually more than 2 weeks. How about?
Yeah, Mac thinks 2 weeks, but what Mac thinks is that there's too many details and it would just get lost. So
I think it's
just better to postpone.
Postpone it, and I think it's depending on the advertising that has to be done and setting up the Zoom meeting. If it can be done in 2 weeks, certainly. And I think Mr. Amin would fully be able to study presentation that he got with Friday from the assessor's office and be willing. We can't submit any more documents.
Basically, what's in here, that's all you can do.
So you're saying, Mac,
If I may talk here, I'm not sure why the Board of Equalization is asking the city assessors, which is on the other side of the aisle here before the meeting, for his opinion. I thought the Board of Equalization is a fair judgment party regarding both sides of the dispute here. I'm not sure why are you asking the city assessor's opinion, with all due respect for the city assessors.
what date did you come up with?
It looks like it would probably be the 14th or the 7th or 14th of April, depending on, are you talking 30 days?
Well, it depends on how your advertisement time.
Like I said, I have to have 10 days, so I cannot advertise until next Thursday, which is 18th, so that'd be the 25th.
Then the 2nd of April.
The 1st of April is on a Thursday, so you would have to go to the next Wednesday, which would be the 7th of April.
Okay, we're going to table this for tonight. We will come back after the advertisement of the next meeting, and you all will have ample time on both sides to review your materials, and we'll come back here on the 7th of April at 7 o'clock.
This is Tony. Just to clarify, I won't be sending any more documents, will I? I mean, we're just going to be looking at the same documents that
Yes.
were sent to us,
Yes,
correct?
This
yes,
is it.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Thank you.
we have everything we need. Is that satisfactory with everybody? You think that'll give you enough?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did that need a vote? That didn't need a vote.
You can vote if you want. Go ahead and make a motion to.
Do we want to make a motion and have a vote on tabling it tonight and moving to a new meeting on April 7th?
I second it.
Tony, are you
On
okay
the
with
motion
that?
to propose. Yes, I am. The motion.
We need to have a I
Yeah,
can't
I
make the
second.
motion.
He did,
I can't
Tony.
make,
We
I
need
can't
to-
make the motion.
Yeah, we need to have a vote, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, that's
John,
what I
make
was
the
asking, Tony, if you would second that motion to postpone it to that date.
I sure do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time, Mr. Min.
Thank you. I may do it off now.
No.
No, we're finished tonight. We'll be back on the 7th.
I may, I'm saying, I'm gonna.
Oops.
Did you turn him off?
Let me get.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hold on one second. Connor. We need to get him back.
Oh, I haven't cut it.
Oh, you didn't cut anything?
No, I haven't cut it.
Oh, okay, well,
I think he's muted his mic.
I muted his video too.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's gone. That's somebody else.
This is the first I've ever seen anything of this.
I don't see Tony.
Tony's in the right.
He's the.
I see it now. Okay, there he is. Thank you, Tony.
Tony, let's see. Is you sure Tony's still there?
Yep.
Yes.
See the little green light?
Oh, he's okay,
We don't have
but I
nobody
need to
here.
do this. Can you,
We're out on this.
yeah, let's do this over again.
Bear with us, folks. We're new at this technology stuff.
What needs to be done?
Yeah, you need to do this again.
Okay.
Okay, so this one was delayed until
April 7th.
April 7th.
You're gonna need to read out the number or go to the settings.
Hold on a second, I need to, yep, I got you now.
I just made it there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's gonna be without the number.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
915, wait a minute, is it toll free, it's long distance?
This is the first.
Long distance.
It's a last day.
Okay, go ahead, 91,
Oh, man.
What did we say, April 7th?
866.
899, 4679,
46.
Lena, you have
access
something,
code.
Hold on.
you have something on your calendar for the 7th.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
873 988 573. And that's it, you just need to do the,
To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN followed by the pound or hash sign. If you do not have a PIN, just press pound or hash.
Speak up.
Or this Miss Garrity?
yes, this will be Ms. Garrity at 7:30.
See about getting back Matt.
You don't have to worry because you can't really, you have to get a big blow up and then hold it in front of the camera because you can't.
I know.
Tommy's there, so, there's a caller too. Is that this
What is the
guy?
DG? I don't know. I can't see that.
Daniel Grubb.
What's that?
Daniel Grubb.
That's just somebody watching then.
That's,
He's representing Wolf's Artists for the residences at City Center.
Okay, all right. Then our next one should be, okay, at 7:30 would be Sandra Garrity.
David Grubb?
Daniel.
That's your 8 o'clock one.
Is it Daniel you said?
Yes.
Yes.
Daniel Grubb, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN followed by the pound or hash sign. If you do not have a PIN, just press pound or hash. Pound or hash. Pound or hash. Pound or Okay, buddy. Okay,
I think somebody's dog is attending.
good.
Probably heard that squeal.
Okay.
What, darn it? Connor, it did it again. It went off again.
Maybe we need to do the long list and stuff.
Wait, let's try that and see.
Go to the wheel. They both should work. I don't know how.
They're both, it doesn't matter. Yeah. See it up there, okay. Ready?
Yeah,
91,
571.
317?
Yeah, I can read it.
Oh, okay.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN.
I literally can walk to this place in 4 minutes.
Right. Right, they're going to knock on the door.
If someone has a computer, please mute.
This is two close encounters of the third kind for me.
I think someone. I think it fixed it. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Is Sandra Garrity on the phone?
Oh, wait.
Ma'am, can you, mute your computer? Ms. Garrett, would you mind muting your phone, your computer?
Yeah, but how's she gonna make her presentation if she mutes?
Yeah, because she'll be talking through the
She'll
phone.
be talking to the phone.
Okay. Who is that red? I can't read those.
That's Sherry,
Oh, that's Tony again.
that's Tony, and then you have,
Lydia, I put myself on mute.
Okay, you're
okay,
good.
that's fine, no
Martha.
problem.
You're good.
Okay, Ms. Garrity? Ms. Garrity, are you there?
I think she's gone.
We have two green phones.
Yeah, which is, the one is the.
Yeah, it's just two of us dialed in, right?
Yes.
And you guys, and that's it.
Who's the one on top? Who's that
We have
one?
caller 45. Ms. Garrity, are you on the phone or computer? Well, you can call her and just tell her to call back on the number that we gave her, right? You just call her and tell her to, call back on that number. She was there, Lucy.
Yeah, she can just call back on the telephone number, can't she?
Yeah, that's what she's gonna call her now and tell her to call back in.
So what happens with the Wilkes Artist speaking?
I think he logged off for now.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Who is it?
Can you hear me?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? This is Daniel Grubb from Wilkes Artists.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
hear you. Yep.
Yeah, what happened is the connection went bad, so I just dialed in.
Yeah, and that's what,
Okay.
that's what we're gonna tell the next applicant to do also. Thank you.
Okay.
Daniel Grubb.
She's not
Not
here.
here.
No?
Mobile office, yeah, folks.
Yeah, he's doing the city center thing.
So I guess Sandra Garrett is just kind of, is she dialing in?
Well, I think Lana's on the phone with her now.
You know what? Look right here.
Martha, you passing notes on us?
I'm doing what?
Passing notes, like school.
No. I was just showing John that something that we've been searching for, and it was right in front of us all the time. I could hear a phone ringing. You hear it? Mac, are you all in the area or are you out west?
No, we're in here.
Good.
So, who else is at City Hall besides you, Martha, and John?
John Strouser, our new member Mike
Steve
McKinney,
Oh, Mike.
Oh,
McKinney.
Mike, okay.
All right.
at the other end of the table.
It says it far away. Well, I wouldn't know him anyway. I've never seen him before, so.
That's it.
He has on a, you can see him in the white shirt. He's at the far end of the table from me.
Yeah. So, no David, huh?
No, he didn't respond actually. So he's missing in action.
No,
I got her cell phone.
Looks like somebody's trying to call in. That's what my phone is saying.
Ms. Garrity, are you there?
Isn't technology wonderful?
Well, it's working. You just got to be dialed in.
Yeah, and we can't do anything else, I don't think, from this end.
No. Can I mute for a little bit till she calls in?
Yeah.
Just hit the top button, right?
That's the microphone.
So what did that do?
Just mute her so shit they can't hear us until she comes in.
Well, it's past her time, so.
We can't do anything till 8 o'clock, even though one of the gentlemen is on, I mean.
Yeah, his video connection dropped, so he's on
Yeah.
color 4 right now.
I can't get used to Tony's beard.
I know, he doesn't even look right.
It does look like him.
Who were caller 4 and 5?
Mr.
I don't know what number caller I am. This is Daniel Grubb again, but all I know is I just followed the instructions and dialed in.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right.
Now, what does that mean, Connor, when that?
Yeah, the connection was good for a while, and then it got bad. So I apologize. I'm the one responsible for all that feedback you were listening to, because I lost my mic connection, but I could still hear you. So when I dialed in, you were getting the feedback, and I was trying to move my phone all over the place to fix that, but no luck. So I had to log off altogether.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Well, it's pristine now, and my connection's great now. That's why I use this new iPhone 10 that I have, because
It just means
it's actually better than my laptop, my personal laptop, and my work laptop. So, you know, I like
So
it.
what you did, you logged on from your iPhone itself.
Yeah, I accepted the meeting on my phone, and it just popped into my calendar on my phone, and that's how I logged on.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about doing that, but I've got documents that I have to look at, and so I don't know.
Yeah, I have well, you can, here, I'll turn my phone around, and you can kind of see, I've got everything up on the big screen here,
Oh, that's Tony.
you know, which is the
Let me
good.
try that next time.
Yeah, well, it's good that I can see all 3 of the properties we're looking at. And of course, I have the documents too. Well, but I don't have. I wish I had like the electrons of the documents, but we only got a hard copy. So that's almost too much to ask. But I was able to look at the properties online and see what kind of visualize what's going on a little bit.
Tony, that's interesting, because if you would rather have electronic, just tell us, because we have all that. And the few that didn't submit electronically, we can scan. So in the future, in the future, we ought to just poll the board and see which way they want them, because, like something like the Wilkes Artist case, those are all scanned in, which is like probably the one that you have the most information on, obviously, the most pages. But that's all scanned. So
that'd probably be the best thing for me. I mean, because this guy, what was he saying? Oh, well, I only got it like 5 days ago. But, it was a 2-page document. But if it was scanned, then there's no, legal, you can't say, oh, I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Well, and you're right, Tony, because we've gone to that for letters. We send a hard copy and we email because, you know.
We might be on YouTube.
Yeah.
We might be showing on
You don't know.
still.
Huh?
We're probably still showing up on
Well, this guy wanted to, he really wanted, like, you know,
Yeah, you can use
the
YouTube.
horses in the barn and everything too, you know,
Yeah.
basically.
So just while everybody's here, I'm a licensed attorney in Virginia, and I've gone through this issue many information at least 5 days before the hearing. Now, I don't know whether he had the 5 days or he made the 5 days or whether he had actually 4.5 or something. So I don't know the facts of his case, but that's what the law says. The board at that point is supposed to, if they're satisfied that
This is Martha speaking, and before you start, though, I would like to respond to what you all were just saying. We were muted, so I couldn't defend us here. That was the first time. I've been on the board now for, what, I know, 6, 7 years. That's the first time that has happened to me. So when I'm blindsided, I don't know what to do. But for you to clarify that regulation, that's wonderful, because we didn't have to give him any consideration, as far as I'm hearing from that 5 days. But
yeah, if it were 5 days, and I didn't want to jump into time because it's not my case, and I didn't want to sandbag somebody else. But and I just don't know the facts. I don't know whether he actually got 5. I don't know whether he's a game in the system. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just know that's what the law says.
okay, Mr. Lawyer, let me talk. Oh boy, apologize for that. That was a bit of humor. Like I said, that was a unique situation. I hope I was able to satisfy everybody. I don't want to inconvenience anybody, but I don't want us to end up in court somewhere because we didn't give him ample time. Now, we will go ahead with your presentation, Mr. Grubbs, and you have the floor.
Okay, if you have our packet in front of you, if you turn to page 5, that's our case in a nutshell. So I know it's kind of a lengty packet. We try not to make them too lengthy, but what is this knucklehead talking about? If you just go to page 5, that's the summary of our case. And if you had to review anything to make a decision on that, if you just read page 5, and what it has here, it has it's a pro forma with, in this case, this is 4 parcels assessed together as the residence at City Center. And it's not, they weren't assessed together, they were assessed separately, and you can see we have 4 different pages. 2 of the parcels are just common areas of this apartment complex. And the rest of the 291 unit plus 3 retail units are just broken off across 2 parcel numbers. But it operates as a single economic entity. And what we did and what the assessor did, I believe if I understand what the assessor did, was we used the income approach to value because they only keep one set of financials. So we capitalized the annual income of the 2 parcels together, and then we assigned a pro rata value to each of them. And you'll see that at our cover pages, where in each of the two parcels where we challenge the value, because 2 of the parcels have a 0 value, so we're not challenging that. So there's just 2 parcels in play, and we did it the same pro rata basis that the city did to apportion the value between the 2. But when I speak here tonight, just to make things simple, we're going to talk about the total value of these 2 parcels together, because they were just split up mathematically after that. And the board, you can look at our cover pages to see the exact numbers, how we broke that out. But for the purposes of argument, I think it would be easier if I just do both parcels together, if that's okay.
Sure. Why were they originally split?
That I don't know. Maybe the assessors know, I don't.
They've been like that ever since, we started doing the work in Manassas Park in 2012, and they've been like this the whole time. So, it's 2 buildings, and then the other 2 are just common area. So they have no value. It's absorbed by the other 2 parcels. So, and that's the way they've left it. If you want to, if the board wants, or Daniel can, either one of us, but the 2 parcels, the number of units, does that help? Or, I think Daniel's right. It's easier if you just look at them as one and don't worry about how to parse out the value. That's kind of the assessor's job based on the total.
That sounds good to me, but you need to help us along with telling us where you are in the documents so we can follow.
Okay, are you on page 5
Yes.
of our appeal?
Okay.
So that's what breaks this down, and we break it down into one value for what the assessors came up with, and one value for what we came up with. If you want to know the breakdown per parcel, you can look at pages 1 through 4, which are the cover sheets, which assign a value to each parcel. If you want to know for the purposes of, what are we going to do with parcel 24-6-2? Well, we put those are in the first 4 pages in the cover pages. But for the purposes of me discussing why we think it should be reduced, I guess I agree with the assessors. It would be confusing if I did it parcel by parcel.
It helps the board. I don't know. See if this is okay with you. On the back of page 2 of the assessor's submission, is a quick little summary of the 2 buildings. In other words, there's 148 units on parcel 24-6-5, and I don't know if that helps them or not, but that's kind of how it's broken out from once you arrive at the total.
Keep on turning.
Oh, I thought you said.
Wait, almost to the very end. Go to the very back of your package.
Okay.
It's on the back of page 2 of the assessors.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Grubbs.
Got it.
Go for it.
Okay, so if you're ready to go, I'm just going to launch into the value of the entire apartment complex, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what we have here, if you look on our page 5, which has the map breakdown that shows the assessment and what we think the value is, that's stabilization, stabilized potential. And that's how we came up with our final value. Is everybody there?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the 2020 assessment that's the middle column there, you can see that the assessors use something called the income approach to value, which is correct. Not only is it correct to use the income approach to value, you have to under state law. Apartments are different. You have to assess apartments using the income approach to value unless there's been a sale within the past year. So that's really the only way you're allowed to do it. And we did it that way ourselves. What we have issue with are some of the numbers they used in their income approach to value. Now, before I start into the numbers itself, I want to remind the board that the date of value here is July 1st, 2020. And obviously, that was at the height of the last shutdown for the pandemic. We're not asking the board to reduce the assessment here because of COVID-19, but we would just like you to keep it in the back of your mind that on the date of value, we had the highest unemployment rate as a nation since the Great Depression, and the governor had virtually locked down everything. So just keep that in your back of the mind. We discussed what we think are the mistakes made in the assessment. The first mistake we think that was made was that the assessment's vacancy rate was too low. So if you'll notice, if you go to the bottom little graph, it says vacancy and collection as a percentage of potential rental income, you'll see that in 2019, which are the actual financials, the vacancy rate was 10.3%. Now, the assessment only provided 8.3%. It's possible that the assessors didn't have the 2019 financials at the time when somebody actually put this assessment together. But, I mean, we consider that part of the appeal process if we provide that and say, hey, look, the vacancy rate's much higher than 8.3%. And what we did is stabilize. We made stabilize at about 11%. But we think that rate was too low. And again, here's the backdrop of that. If 2019, which is like these days, that's like the good old days, economically, if the vacancy and concession loss was 10.3%, if you're sitting and looking at the market on July 1st, 2020, it's just hard to imagine that you think this property was going to beat that number for that fiscal year. It's just, if they couldn't do it during a normal year, there's no way they were going to do it during the pandemic. That's why we think that, that our rate at stabilization of 11% is a better rate. Remember, for this is vacancy and collection loss. This property has had some collection loss. The other thing, and probably really the biggest thing, is the assessment expenses are too low. If you look up in the operating expenses and you look under the 2019 column, you can see that, and if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down because I can't tell whether you're following or not, but the operating expenses for 2019 were $1.5 million, and the assessment only gave the property $1.2 million. Now, again, remember, if the property had a vacancy and collection loss of over 10% in 2019, even if you believe the assessors were right in saying at stabilization, they'd only be at about 8%, well, more people would be in the building. And if there are more people in the building, your expenses would go up. They wouldn't go down. So if $1.2 million in operating expenses wouldn't cover the property at 10% vacancy and collection, it certainly wouldn't cover it at 8% vacancy. There'd be more people in the building. So if you look at those numbers, and I think that's the biggest difference in our two values is that there was an actual $1,512,349 in expenses in 2019. There's no way they're going to beat that at stabilization because, those are just the actual numbers. Now, again, and I don't want to be Mr. Lawyer too much, but if you go to the next page, you'll see this, there's the state law on the assessment of real property. And it requires that the board consider the actual operating expenses and expenditures and the impact of any additional expenses or expenditures. Now, you know, that's really always true for all the cases, but the General Assembly wanted to underline this for apartments, that we really mean it when it comes to apartments, because what they're actually spending is very probative of what their market expenses would be. So that's why the General Assembly passed a specific law for multifamily property to consider the actual operating expenses and expenditures. And I think that's the biggest difference right there. We're not quibbling with their cap rate or anything like that. It's just the vacancy rate and the expenditures. But there's one more issue that I would like to bring up, and that's the assessment should have provided for reserves for replacement. And this is just standard appraisal practice, especially when you're dealing with apartment complexes because of all the turnover. So the assessors may claim, and I don't know, I didn't see this in the material they gave me, they may claim that, well, that's part of that $1.2 million number. Well, if the $1.2 million number doesn't cover the actual operating expenses, it certainly doesn't have enough room to cover the replacement for reserves. We know that this property in 2019, if you look under the 2019 column and you go to their capital improvements, they sunk almost $600,000 in capital improvements. They are going to have to hold aside some replacement for reserves. And in our stabilized column, we just asked for about $100,000. We think that's very reasonable. So again, this is primarily an expense, an issue of a difference of opinion on expenses. We agree on the cap rate. We agree that the income approach was the best way to value this property. It's the only way to value this property. And we just disagree over expenses. We think the actual expenses are probative of a stabilized property, and that they weren't given enough consideration, especially when you consider there was also no additional deduction for replacement reserves. And so if you take those numbers in our stabilized potential column, you're going to come up, you know, with our value of $47,387,990 for this property for all four parcels. Their value was $52 million. Now, what I don't want to make this too confusing, but and then what we did is we used the same pro rata share that the assessors used to break it apart between the two main parcels with the building on it. So if you want to see the actual breakdown, it's on the first 4 pages of this for each parcel. The first, really what you have to work on, the first 2 pages. That's the actual breakdown, the difference, how we split that $47 million between the two parcels. One of the things that the assessors might say that, and we put it in our pro forma as well, is the taxpayer purchased this property in June 2018 for $51.5 million. So they're going to say, you know, we're closer to that sales value than the taxpayer is in his appeal. And my response to that is going to be, if only we could have 2018 back again. It's just gone. And now we're in a swamp of bad economic news. And I know that the Federal Reserve is printing out money to pump this thing up, but we're in trouble, and it's just different. It's just a different world now. And while I'm not saying that this sale has no probative value, we think the actual financial performance at the property has more probative value than a sale back in the good old days. And so we would ask the board to, you know, reduce the assessment to $47,387,990 in total, split the way we split it on the first 2 pages of our packet. And that's our case.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions for him?
Does Mac have a?
Go for Mac.
Mac, do you have anything to add?
No, but my associate does.
Okay.
Been working with Wilkes Artist on this property ever since we came to Manassas Park. We know it pretty well. A couple of things. And we can use frankly, using page 5 of when we talk about the income approach of Daniel's submission is fine with me. It just reiterates what's on my page. I'll give you that.
Page 2.
Yes. So those are the same.
Page 2, yeah.
Yeah, they're the same numbers. We actually had, this particular property did not used to submit income and expense statements with the prior owner. The property sold in June, I think it was, of 2018. And this year, for the 21 assessment, was the first year that the owners have actually submitted on their own an income and expense statement. So some of the stabilized numbers on page 5 of Daniel's statement are, like he said, from the 19 income statement, which, they submitted just within, and that's for the 21 assessment. So anyway, just so you know what's going on with that. The one thing I will point out is in the assessor's approach, there's a couple of things. You can look all the way down the line in Daniel's opinion and then, representing the owner, our income is low. The one thing I will say is they, in his approach and in his column that says the stabilized potential, what they have there is the income for the apartments. What they did not reflect for you is the income from the retail. I know it's been slow to lease up. There's been some things, but there was, in the year that Daniel's using to determine the stabilized income, there is, I'm going to give you the exact number. I think it's about 219,000, of income, $219,631 for the retail component of the property. And remember, this is not just the value of the apartments, it's also the value of the first floor retail. And I know that's been problematic for the property all along, but I am pointing out that income number is not included in his stabilized potential. The sale did occur in June, and we had of 18. We had a higher value in 2019, and we worked with the property owner and Wilkes Artis and reduced the value to $52 million. And the $52 million assessment was carried forward this year. And part of that was they actually gave us information, which was the appraisal of this particular property that came out as part of the sale. Now that's confidential. I agreed not to share that with the board or anyone else. So, unfortunately I can't share that with the board, but the opinion and how we reached the $52 million was a combination of the appraisal and the income used at that particular point and the sales price that was agreed upon. So we feel the $52 million is indicative of the value of the property and the value of the property carried forward into 2020. I don't agree with Daniel about the market for, I think the market is a strange place right now, and I think COVID will have a strange impact on various things. For now, residential property is doing very well. I mean, for 2020, it was doing well, and frankly, for 2021, it's doing well. And in Manassas Park, and most of you all know this, there was, when everything came on, when Palisades and everything kind of came on all at once, there were a lot of concessions, and this particular property had higher vacancy and concessions as well. So I would say that we allowed that in certain times, but there's none of that going on right now. And, I looked because Daniel's appeal talks about COVID and, how it's impacting. And I honestly didn't look in July, but I mean, now is not that much different than July. And I looked at their vacancies just online, and I know they're claiming their vacancies are lower than they have been ever since, like 5 or 6 years ago. And there's the concessions have ended. And I think when I looked online probably a month ago, there were 7 units that would be available within the next month. And that was the only units that would be available. So I think the vacancy that Dan was talking about at 11% or 10.3, I think we're using 8.3, and I think we're being reasonable. I don't think it's a significant difference. And I also think that our income is lower than what the income is. So I think with that said, it's kind of adjusted for. And I think you can, go down the line with every one of these numbers and say, this one's a little higher, this one's a little lower, this one's a little, and the reserves may be included, in the expenses, or they may not. I mean, we do not. The one thing I will say is every property in Manassas Park is valued uniformly, all the apartments. There's no reserve for replacement taken out as a separate line item for any of the apartment buildings. The cap rates are, adjusted according to the type of property and the grade and all of that within Manassas Park, and the per unit values of all the units in from an apartment standpoint, not including the retail involved here, are all consistent and uniform. So with that, I think that, there's differences of opinion between specific numbers here and there, but I don't see any, manifest error on the part of the assessor to, ignore operating income or ignore any of the incomes that we've had from them. And we've had, between the sale and the appraisal, not that they were, Wilkes Artist has given us their income information over the years, but the owner finally this year has submitted the income statement. So that's kind of, we feel that the property is, assessed very fairly, and it's a lower value per unit. I got that out in case you all wanted to know what those were. But you can think about it and ask me any of that if you want to, on per unit basis, but it's lower than Haver Hill, and it's also lower than Oxford Palisades, and it's also in 20, it was not lower than Artina Manassas, which is the new building kind of beside this. That was still having trouble leasing up in 20, but that'll change in the near future. So that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you both, Daniel and Cindy.
May I rebut that? Can I just
Sure.
have one very quick rebuttal on that? I did include the retail income in that number. If you notice, if you look on page 5, she's right. We looked at what their assessment was, and their income number at stabilization we thought was a little too low. So we didn't just pick and choose their number. We created a number that we thought was more realistic, and we did add more income to the property. And we got that from the rent rolls on page 40, their market rent for both areas. And I just took that number and multiplied it by 12 because it's a monthly number. So I did include retail in that value. The other thing on, I think she's right. This really comes down to the expenses. And we can argue back and forth about whether COVID has impacted this property, and I think it's a little hard to argue that we're in a recession, and that affects all property values. But that aside, this really comes down to an argument over expenses. And if the board would just look at our number, the actual number, the assessor's number for expenses, and the number that we use at our stabilized value, there's a big difference there, and I think that's what this comes down to. The difference in that number is negated a little by the fact that we increased the income at the property, because we thought that was a more fair representation of what this property could achieve at stabilization. That's it.
Any comments from the committee members? Mr. Shiflett?
No. Thank you.
Mr. McKinney?
No, thank you.
Mr. Strouser?
Nope.
And I have no comments either. Both presentations were very, very thorough and knowledgeable. I propose that we go ahead with our consideration. Any comments, folks?
None for me.
Personally, I really can't see a need to change the assessor's total figures at the bottom of page 2. So we want to put it to a vote right now?
Yeah.
Mr. Shiflett?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. McKinney?
Abstain.
Abstain. Mr. Strouser?
No.
No to change?
No change.
No change, Mr. Strouser. And I would vote for no change.
And I want to make myself clear, no change.
Okay, Mr. Shiflett, no change. Okay, then we would move ahead with the fair and market value of land value of $11,405,800, the building of $4,594,200, with a total being $52 million.
Second.
Mr. Strouser, second that. And then that would conclude this appeal.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I hope everybody is safe and healthy.
Thank you, Mr. Grove.
Very good presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks. Travel safely.
Okay.